I really have been left out in the cold, so to speak, when it comes to driving performance Mercs. I mean, the last ones I drove were the C63 sedan, actually right here at Swartkorps, and the coupe around Ascari, but both were back in 2015. It's crazy, that's 5 years ago. I've missed out on so much. So I guess the best way to become reacquainted is with the most powerful one of them all. Well, the engine hasn't changed. It's still that fabulous 4-litre V8 bi-turbo. But when I last drove it, it was producing 375 kilowatts and 700 newton meters. Well, those clever men at Falterbach have gone and found just on another 100 kilowatts and 200 newton meters more in terms of torque. That's unbelievable performance figures. I mean, this car produces more power than the AMG GTR, but then again it probably needs to because it does weigh a lot more. We're talking 2.1 tons here. I love coming in with preconceived ideas and then being proven wrong. So I looked at this car and thought, no man, why are we even bothering going on track? I know it's an AMG and they have all this unbelievable telemetry and data and all that sort of nonsense you can play with, but 99% of the time this car is going to be living as a GT, as a cruiser. And then I got onto this track and it does not feel like 2.1 tons. It's unbelievable. And you know what's really impressive as well is just how, with everything turned off, how predictable and progressive it is. As you come on the power, you can feel exactly what the rear is wanting to do and when it starts braking. And it's so easy just to control it. And that's that active rear differential that's doing amazing work. What's also quite critical, and some of you are going to need, is we've got the 120,000 Rand, oh, love it, we've got the 120,000 Rand carbon ceramic brake option, which you are going to need if you're going to want to do anything like this, where you're going to be hanging it out and sliding it, purely because it's a big car to stop. You know, around a track like Swartkorps, there's no time for the brakes to cool down, so I am very thankful for those carbon ceramics. When I first laid eyes on this, I was like, hell no. What with this 50,000 Rand matte paint job and all the chrome detail, it was just a little bit too much for me. But then we shot it in the first morning light and my attitude changed. I started appreciating some detail and the proportions. But irrespective of what you think from a styling perspective, wherever I've gone in this car, it has turned heads. I know, you're also going to look at it and think CLS, but in actual fact, this is only the third standalone model that AMG has ever made, alongside the SLS and the AMG. But don't let the name confuse you. This is not the four-door version of the AMG GT. In fact, like the CLS, it's on the same platform as the E-Class, except now it is longer, it is wider, it's lower, and it's also 200 kilograms heavier. But what did pleasantly surprise me is the rear passenger space. Now, I see a sloping roofline, I think, oh, CLA. But accessing little head duck and you in wasn't too difficult at all. But once inside, really impressive headroom and incredible legroom too. This is my driving position, so that was really, really impressive. The carbon fiber trim option has been ticked here, and along with the large chrome detailing accentuating what is a very large center console, it really feels like it's, I don't know, trying too hard to push the sporty persona, and it really doesn't need to. This is also probably the best integration of their MBUX system. It blends in beautifully and is really quite superb to use. passenger comfort in the rear, there's climate control, there are 2 USBs, and our test unit also has wireless charging at the back for your smartphone. I must admit, I was a little bit surprised when I discovered that this car comes standard with an air suspension, because it really doesn't feel like it. I'm being serious. There's never much of a sensation of you just kind of wafting along, gliding over all those uneven surfaces. And that's with me set in comfort mode. I really just think that they need to spend a bit more time dialing in the GT nature of this car, because this is where you're going to spend most of your time, and it's the thing that Mercs are so good at is cruising on the open road. On a road surface like this, not bad at all. It feels pretty good, but the minute you come to any bump, imperfections, a speed bump, the damper settings are just so brutal. Okay, so let's get one thing straight here. This car should not be able to do what it does on track. It defies logic that 2.1 tons can feel so small, be so engaging and fun to drive. It's crazy. But having said that, this car, in the hands of 99% of consumers, is going to really spend its life in GT mode. And that is where this car is probably, for me, the most disappointing. And have you noticed, I've done this entire insert and not once mentioned the benchmark in the segment, the Porsche Panamera. Is this better than a Porsche Panamera? I never thought I'd say this, but I actually don't know. What I would need to do is drive them back to back. I think the Panamera will be better on the road, but sure, it's going to be tough to compete with it on the track. Very impressive.